This is the Think Podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and real estate professionals. Insight, real talk, systems that scale. Think about it. Today's episode is sponsored by Fortra Law, a firm deeply invested in the growth of private lending. Fortra is a proud member of the Women in Private Lending Group and supports the leaders driving meaningful change across the industry.
Thank you, and welcome to another awesome Think podcast. Today, it's not often that you get to have one of your mentors on your show, and so I'm so excited today for the president of the American Association of Private Lenders, Miss Linda Hyde, who has made such an impact in my life, and I'm really honored to have her here. I mean, I'm kind of, you guys all know me. I don't usually trip over my words, get a little speechless, but I'm excited today because I think you guys are going to get so much out of this with a back end look of, really what it takes to run the most respected, impactful organization in our space for private lending, but also where the market's going to go and some new epic educational programs that are being rolled out through their association. So without further ado, please welcome to the show, Miss Linda Hyde. And so, Linda, good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about your background, because you have such a successful and diverse background before you came to be the president of the American Association of Private Lending. Tell us a little bit about where you were, how you got here, and that'll lead into some other questions about the meteoric growth that you guys have experienced since your tenure. So tell us a little bit about you and where you come from.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I don't think a lot of people know, but I actually have been a leader since I was about 18 years old, but I started out in call centers. So I did a lot of work in call centers.
Yeah.
And actually did that before I came into this industry. Didn't know this industry existed, but it's what led me here. So I got hired on to create a call center for our insurance group, and then got placed in APL to kind of as a placeholder to keep me busy. Well, I kept myself busy. So I started digging into things, and you know the rest. Yeah, Eddie's story of how he found me and all the things. So just got bored and decided that I needed to make something of it because it was just sitting there. I didn't have a phone at first, so we drew a phone on the wall.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I had a computer, which is what got me digging into the records and things, because I had nothing else I could do. And so it was always a joke. So I got a phone finally, and then started picking up the phone and talking to clients. So there are clients today that are still part of the association that I spoke to 12 years ago, almost.
Absolutely. I mean, we were, and some of you guys don't know this, but we had moved recently, and so there's a bunch of stuff that we were unpacking in the garage, and I called Linda, and I said, "You're not even going to believe this. I found an old magazine from AAPL 5, right? This year will be 17.
Yeah.
But just to look at the growth and what you've done, because you weren't there at 5, right? So what you've taken it to now, what's the membership growth been like since you break records on your attendance for we call it the Super Bowl. So for those of you guys that don't know, I can't think of anybody that doesn't know, but they do one epic trade show a year in Las Vegas at Caesars Palace, and everybody calls it the Super Bowl. So if you have to go to one, you pick one show that you're going to go to a year, everybody goes to that one, right? Because that's the par excellence. That's the Super Bowl. That's the big one. So you break records on attendance for that every year, which is awesome. But how many members did you have when you kind of grabbed the reins of this thing into where you've grown it into now? Because it's massive.
So we had about 60 members. Not all of them were paying even. So It was easy for me to just put everything on an Excel sheet and start. And that's how I actually started maintaining our records at first, was on an Excel sheet. So I manually updated everything that way.
Wow. So what did you have in attendance this year? I think we're over 1,000, wasn't it?
We would have had 1,000 had we not had the shutdown from the government. We had issues with the FAA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
982 was our number.
Yeah, because I remember we were all scrambling at different airports on how we're going to get there and all that stuff. It's always something very exciting, right? So everything could be going well, and then all of a sudden the FAA shut something down, and people were. I mean, I know people that rented campers and drove in from California, right? They put their staff in a rental. Was it not a mobile home, but an RV?
The RV, yeah.
The RV stopped off and got a bunch of gummy bears and some Diet Cokes, and everybody headed to Vegas. So, I mean, I think that everybody would have gone there on a Razor scooter if they thought they needed to. So, you guys have come now into where you are. You guys are doing a lot of education, and that's really, I mean, that's you've got certain tenements that you guys do better than anything. So you handle stuff legislatively. You've got a big, huge line there and stuff that you guys are making an impact there. You have ethics. I think that is a phenomenal group on that. You have education that's massive. What are some of the things that you're coming up with now that you guys are really pushing some of your new educational programs, because they're really setting the bar very high for this industry, and I think it needed to happen. So we're all thankful for that. But talk about what you guys are rolling out right now in some of your new programs.
Yeah, I think education's important, and every year, we roll out something. And we always have some kind of initiative. Well, this year I decided that education was going to be our focus. So we started out with these, what we're calling package learning courses. And we just launched our first one, rolled it out, and it's for members, and it's around media fakes. And we actually partnered with TruePick and created it with them in partnership with them. And I think we have 4 more that we're working on to launch throughout the year. So we have one on AI coming out, business screening coming out, and we have some other ones that'll be coming out that I'm going to keep to myself for now.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let the cat out of the bag too early, because everybody's looking at you guys, right? You're the lighthouse in the harbor, and so
right.
I know that you guys over the past couple of years have really gone to the mat to legitimize, educate, and kind of standard of practices and expectations in the industry for private money brokering. And so you guys have really rolled that out to be a benchmark for quality training, education, bringing in. I loved the new private money brokering certification and class that you guys do, because you brought in so many people from around the space. What was your thought on that when you guys were developing and rolling out that program?
Sure. So around 9 years ago, we actually did a class with Kogo Capital, and we had, I would say probably 10 people show up. And so we were trying to really kind of talk to the broker community at that time, and there wasn't a big need for it for us at that time, right? So, and I never have an intention to ever want to be an association that talks to brokers. So we've had brokers all these years call and say, should I join? What do I get? And I've always told them, you should not join. You don't get a lot of benefit out of being a member of the association. But as we've grown and as the industry's grown, there's been more need there.
Sure.
We were talking, having conversations. It was more of, we need to teach the brokers that are doing this already, right? How do they come into the private lending space, a traditional broker, and work with lenders? Because our space is not typical. You can't just walk into the space, right? It's not. So you have to know how to come in and work with our lenders. It's not normal, right? It's not typical as if you've been doing a mortgage broker before. We took task on as the association, the industry, to make sure that they're doing it the right way and that they're working with our lenders. So we actually launched it right the day before the conference is the day that I published it, this last November. And we have quite a few companies that are looking at it. We've had some that they're putting the brokers through it, all of the brokers through the program before they work with them. We've had quite a few that have went through it already, and we've gotten really great feedback on the programs.
I think it's awesome because you cover so many different topics, and so for those of you people that don't know, they cover, I think it's 18 different topics, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and it's led by an industry leader.
Yes.
So there's a different take from very experienced and successful professionals in the space, which I think you always do. You're always such a supporter of this industry and people in this industry and getting them involved, right? Which is great because you're always like, come on, you can do this. Like with the magazine, right? The magazine is the bell standard for us. So Private Lender or PL Magazine, for anybody that's wondering. The articles in there are written all by people that are in good standing, obviously, in the industry. But they're put out there by experts. And so the stuff you get in there is both entertaining, but it's really educational, because I think that's the most important thing that you guys do. Would you say that your push on education is stronger, or your legislative and ethics branch is stronger? Because you're kind of like a three-legged monster stool there, where you're really covering so much stuff. You do all the other stuff too, but of those different pillars, which one do you think is the most impactful right now? Because there's a lot going on legislatively too.
Today it's education, but that can shift at any point. There is a lot going on from a legislative perspective, and we do have a government relations committee that are watching everything, and we are ready to shift if we need to and jump in where we need to at any point, and we've done that multiple times over the years. So I think we're ready if we have to. The good thing about the way that we've built the association is we have these committees, right? So it's made up of industry experts. And part of it, and the reason why we bring everybody in is because I'm not a lender. I don't claim to know what, I don't do this business every day. So we really rely on, you guys, the ones that are actually out there doing the business and know what's going on. So that's who we bring in to do this. And those are our committee members. And that's who we rely on. So it's easy to shift into legislative if we have to, but we also have our committee over here for education. We have fraud. So we can focus on all those different things. Sure. And my team can just have their finger on the pulse and help kind of manage and project manage where we're at and where we're going. But right now, I'd say education is our focus.
Well, and I think too, there's another, kind of high five for you, because your team, you guys have been together a long time.
Yes.
And everybody's been there, right? And so that says a lot about leadership, because people that work inside the association believe in its mission statement, don't want to leave. And I think that says a lot about you, because you've had people that are still there with you from the very beginning.
Yes.
The way the association is set up, because everybody knows the history there. And speaking of history, you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. And so you come from this little seed to this little seedling that was going to grow to this monster oak tree. We've been through a couple of crashes, or some downturns significantly, to where everybody wanted to go retail from a lending perspective, to now it's switching back to where everybody's kind of courting and dancing around with brokers, right? And where do you see, because you're 7 days a week in this, and I know you work 7 days a week, because I call you on the weekend. But so where do you see the industry going now? Do you think it's slanting more towards the broker embrace, or do you think that it's somewhere in the middle, or do you think it's shifting back to more of that lenders are wanting to do a more retail focus?
I think they're opening up for the brokers. I think it's very focused on brokers right now, which is why it was so important for us to come up with the training. So we made that whole thing with a seasoned broker who's been doing it for a long time, to make sure that we did it the right way. So I think that was why it was so important for us to get it out, because it has been such a focus on brokers in this industry, and they've been such a big part in where the industry is going. I think that'll probably shift. I think technology is a very big part. We're going to see AI. I don't know what part it'll play ultimately, AI, because of the unknown. We do a lot of demos, and it's, I have an AI product, but when we get down to it, it's like, where is it getting its data, right? Like, it's getting it from you or your database, or from somewhere. So you always have to look, and I'm very skeptical sometimes about some of these systems and the AI. So we'll see where that takes us. I think AI plays a part in where we go, and I think technology is going to be important in the platforms that they use, and how they keep their businesses structured is going to be important. When I first started, everything was very fragmented. The industry was fragmented, and everything was just relationship based. And today it's relationship based. Right. It's also very much like you have to be organized, and your business has to be organized, and you have to know what you're doing and moving forward. And you have to have a solid team. So I think that's going to be important.
Yeah, I had Alex Buriak on a couple of shows ago. He's great, and he's so enthusiastic. I could talk to him for like 6 days. And so we brought him on over here as one of our resident experts to tackle that AI question. He had a great quote. He said that AI is to be an enhancement to your abilities, not a replacement.
That's right.
And I think that there's a misconception out there, and I'm sure you're going to come up with a phenomenal education platform to that. A lot of people think that the Chat GPT is AI and that's it, and so they'll just punch stuff in there. It's open. They don't realize that other information is being shared to everybody all over the planet. He talked about that too in our space, and so you could put in some underwriting guidelines that it could help you and stuff that as an enhancement, but not to replace the human interaction. It rules without emotion and all of those types of things, and so it can be a good add-on from a human resources standpoint. And I think coming into our space, especially for the data that it can start to assemble and create, I think it's going to be really good. With the space kind of going into that and everything changing so quickly, right? And you guys are jumping monumentally. Where are the pain points for owners of these lending places that you've seen that you because you do a lot of things. You will listen And I think that's a good thing as a president or CEO. Their first job is to listen, right, and to address that pain points, and then start to offer programs or solutions. Because if I say anything about you, it's you're solution based. How do we figure this out and make it work, not to just write something off? Where do you see the pain points for association members right now that they're struggling it? Because market's changing a little bit. It's starting to stall out. It's getting flat in certain metros and stuff. And so I'm sure you're really street smart. You got ears and eyes on the street all the time. Where are you seeing some of the challenges? So we have to take the good with the bad. So what are you thinking that some of the roadblocks are for people right now that are already up and running? Because there's a part 2 to this question.
Okay. So I think deal flow is a problem, right? In continuing the deals, which is where the brokers, I think, are coming in. Mm-hmm. That's where they're getting the avenue to them, because they're bringing in constant deals. I think that employee retention and education for their employees is a pain point for a lot of them, and making sure, because as they get new employees, our industry is not that big. So when you bring in somebody new, they don't know anything about the industry. When we don't have a lot of information, how do you train somebody without having a program, right? A lot of these guys don't have training programs and things. So I know that that's been a big pain point for them, of how do you get somebody up and going quickly.
When you address that, so you've got private money, sales associate there, you've got the fund manager course, and now PMB. So with PMB, would you say that that's more robust and deeper, like a level 2 from the sales associate course in private money?
So the private money really just is a true overview of how to be a private lender, right? Like, it gets into the details of start to finish what you have to do to be a private lender. The broker course gets into a little more details around being a broker and kind of the next steps. It's really focused on being a broker in the space, and it's more detailed around that. So I would say it's a little bit more of a step up. So if somebody wanted to know about the space, they would start with the private lender and then go to the broker. That would be kind of the next step for them. Because right now what we do is we have them go through the private lender associate and then go through the fund manager if they want to go to that next step.
Yep, and they're both phenomenal classes, you guys. They're impactful. They're not death by PowerPoint. They're very, I'll say it, they're entertaining, right? Because I've seen training programs ad nauseum, like we all have, where you're like, I don't want to do this, but I'm telling you, it's different. It's different. It's better. And, I think the endorsement on your email signature also speaks wildly, because there are a lot of people out there that are pretending to know what they're doing. As you know, we hear it all the time, and they just don't do the extra steps after it, because it doesn't end once you decide that you want to get into this business. It is a constant all the time. I want to talk about the book that you put out this year. Congratulations on that, as you guys are now publishing education material that people can take home independently. In the book you guys put out for mentorship. How has that been received? Because I'm hearing really good stuff about people getting the meat and potatoes, because people were, the contributors to that book were open, they were raw, they were honest, they were humble, and talked about their struggles. And so congratulations on that.
The book, we've gotten really great feedback. But first, let me say, the book was your idea. For us, you pushed me. It took me a while to get there and agree to it. So it was a lot of work, but we did it.
You guys did do it. You did it awesome. I came up with an idea, but you did you rode the boat ashore, right?
You're in there as an author. You wrote the foreword, so I appreciate the partnership there.
Well, thank you.
Really good feedback from the book. We've had pretty good sales. It's been pretty steady, the sales for the book on Amazon. So we've been selling them on Amazon. We're going to keep taking it with us as we go to shows, so we can sell them from the booth, if people want to do that. It was taken really well. We launched it at the conference as well, and, as you know, and had book signing, and everybody was very excited. I do appreciate all of the authors really putting it out there. I mean, it was a long time and a lot of work for everybody, but it turned out really nice. So I don't know if I would do another one.
It came out really well, though. It came out great. And you guys, it's a lot of assembly. For anybody that has never done a book before, it's not easy. It isn't.
No, I mean, especially chasing 17 authors.
Exactly, right. And so if you guys are wondering what it's like chicken soup for the soul. Remember those old booklets where it's a contribution, but It's geared directly towards motivational challenges and overcoming best advice from really awesome, solid, ethical people. And so there's a bunch of great storytellers in there that were very honest. I loved every single story that they did, and it's truthful and honest. So it could be a good thing for your staff to pick that up and make it kind of mandatory reading, because it's a good read, it's a light read, it tells a lot of stuff. And so there's another point of training that people can do with real world experience on that.
Absolutely.
What would be a piece of advice? I got a couple of questions left for you here before we wrap up. But one piece of advice: there's so many people that are getting into the industry now, because you know that when we started back in the day, you had to know a guy, and he had to write a check out of his living room, and all that kind of stuff. Where it is now, it is a really robust, aggressive, legitimate industry, and it's attracting a lot more people. So you seeing the good, bad, and the ugly over the years, what is something a piece of advice you would give to a newbie that's thinking about getting into this business?
Best piece of advice is engage in all of the resources that are available to you. I mean, there's a lot out there. Pay attention, join the calls, go to the events, talk to the people, make relationships, build relationships, maybe get a mentor. It just really depends. The more we have so many resources that people don't pay attention to. They don't read everything. And I know people are busy, but we put out a lot of information. And as a newbie, there's so much stuff there. And it's not just us. Again, there's other things out there and other places to get that information. So read and digest as much as you can, because the more you know, the better your business will be, and making sure that you do. And then find a good attorney. That's the other thing I always tell everybody when they call us. I'm like, we have a good attorney. So we typically send them.
Phenomenal.
And we have a couple other attorneys that we work with that are local, that are on our site as well. But find a good attorney. That's always important.
It is, right? And I always tell people to make sure you've got a good accountant, because
yes,
do not try to do your accounting yourself your first year new into the space. If I can beg anybody, if they ever hear anything that I say, find a good accountant. You got to have a good lawyer, good accountant.
Providers are important.
So last couple of questions. I want people to hear it from you on the benefits of membership. I've been a member a long time. I've gotten so much more out of it than I've ever given into it. But I want to hear you describe the benefits of membership, because you've really created something that's beneficial. It's, there's so many trade organizations and all this stuff that don't really go the extra mile. You guys go that and then some. So what are some of the benefits of somebody coming on and being a member? Because I think it's a key element to the success and legitimacy of companies and people that are new or old to the space. In a couple sentences, what do you think your best benefits of membership are for the American Association of Private Lending?
We have so many, right? So I sent an email.
I know it's a hard question to answer.
We have a whole list of benefits that we offer. I think it depends on what their goals are. But we have a member emblem that is very important for people that they use. They can put on their website. We have a directory that you can use that's free. It's member managed. We have all of our education, all of our webinars, everything's recorded. We put it all on the site for our members. We have a whole dashboard that includes anything that we've done from content, anything we've recorded, anything that we've written. It's all available. We're now doing these package learning courses that are free to our members. We do member spotlights to get our members out there and get them out in front. We have a jobs board. I mean, we're constantly looking for how do we add value to what we do that doesn't cost extra, right? Like, what can we add value to for our membership? We have discounts. We have discount partners. I mean,
and the magazine too. I mean, the magazine is so well received and read by everybody. Right.
Yeah, the magazine turns out great. Our limelight is our members, so we showcase our members. We also have a place at the back of the magazine where we wrap up each edition with a member, and it's kind of their story, and they get to tell a story that's very personal to them, and that's one of my favorite parts of the magazine. So we very much try to revolve everything around our members. The webinars that we engage in we pull our members. So the more you support us, the more we'll support you. I owe to the people that provide support to us. That's who I will pull to put them out there and help us. That's who we go to.
I think that's great. And then final question, give kind of an idea for a new kind of ecosystem to really ensure longer term success. right? Because, as we talk about all the time, the numbers are getting tougher because so many people watch these fix it and flip shows and all this stuff, but nobody ever talks about the money and how it all works. And know that it's very important for you to see people come in, learn, get solid footing, and progress in their business as they grow so that they can stay around a while. The percentages of people jumping in and jumping out because they didn't get the correct help, not saying from you guys, but just that didn't get fully involved in the industry as a whole and everything. This is a great industry. I've been doing it 27 years. And so if you're not involved and you're not entrenched in it, it can be tough. It's brutal. And so you need help along the way. So talk a little bit about your next kind of ecosystem or the best advice you can get from people, because they're going to come in, they're going to take the course, series of courses, really. And then their next steps, because that's we were on tour for a year teaching people and they always said, now what? And so you have come up with kind of a smart plan that you think will help ensure the long-term success of everybody that's invested in this industry.
Yeah, so I think that it's more than just what we do, right? And I think people do get lost because there are so many things going on, and if they don't reach out, we lose them. But there's so many avenues depending on where they want to go. So you have so many things going on in the things that you're doing with Think, and the programs that you have, and a really great path of growing their business. And so as an entrepreneur, you have great programs for them as well. So I feel like, not just engaging your whole business and all the way around. So going to you and talking through what you have and what you have going with Sam. And then we also have, with Eddie, he has, Empire and growing that. And how do you grow your business to the next level and continue to do that? So I think there's paths. And then we can be that supportive feature for for the industry and the business. So I think that we're always here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to grow and continue to be supportive. But there are ways for them to take a path to continue to grow their business. And I think that starts with what you're doing with Sam, with Think, and then kind of go down that path and continue on through like an empire.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a next step to say, okay, kind of a hand up and meeting people where they are to pull them. I think for anybody that I will say this, it was the first professional organization that I joined in this space many, many, many years ago, right? It is such a benefit to actually have guardrails kind of set up so that you're not out in the woods just running around with a rock and a stick hoping to try to find dinner. As I always tell everybody, it takes more than a rock and a stick, right? Somebody's got to clean the fish. And so I think that I'll tell you this, folks, everybody that can hear my voice has got it. You have to start with a quality, I'll say protective, because you really look out for everybody and support everybody. And there's a mentoring that happens there of the right way to do things and then accountability. And I think that it all starts with AAPL. Obviously, I'd like to see people come through us to go to that next spot. And thank you for the kind words there. And then, once you get to a certain level, you're going to want to take it even further. And so there's a step 3 through the Empire system. So I think that there's a lot of good that can be had, but it all starts, you guys, with a quality organization like AAPL. And if you do anything, how you do the small things is how you do the big things. And you have to have a platform to learn from that without judgment. And that comes through the association. And so I cannot tell you, thank you for all the things you've done for me over the years, but thank you for doing this podcast, because I know that people are going to get a lot out of it. And I hope that this clears the air for anybody that might be hesitant to ask or didn't know or whatever. If you guys want to know anything, you can always call me too, and I can tell you anything you need to know about this association. That's really how you have to set your program up. And so, Linda, thank you for agreeing to, I know how busy you are, to do the show today. So I appreciate it. Any last final thoughts? You got a famous quote or anything you want to dismount with? Anything?
Oh, no famous quotes. The team is working on, they want me to start webinars with, they want me to record something where it's like my real, feelings. So we'll see how that comes out. So
because I'm Linda Uncensored. Oh
yeah, you might get a little spice on our webinars pretty soon. I don't know. I haven't said yes, so we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll send you something to, I don't know. I'll find out from one of your team. Like what can we send her to get her to do this? Can we send her on a cruise or what? But yeah, it'd be great. You should think about it.
I don't know that Eddie will think it's great. Just saying.
Well, you never know. All right, guys. Linda, thank you so much for today, and I can't wait to talk to you again. I'm sure we'll have more phone calls this week. So,
thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.